Okay. Hello, Internet. Welcome to this yummy conversation between myself and my dear sister, Shannon Hevel. She is an alchemist. She's a mystical being. She takes people on magical journeys. And our paths crossed a few years back. And I'm just so grateful to have you in my life. And
I am grateful to be in your life and have you in mind.
thank you. And we were chatting away yesterday in one of our regular catch ups, and all this yumminess around light language came up. And we were like, you know what? This is actually a really helpful conversation to just invite our internet friends to the table with. So grab your tea, grab your coffee, and we're just going to talk a little bit about light language. So, Shannon, I would just love for you to kind of share a little bit about what we were talking about yesterday and what your relationship to light language.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I always love our conversations and we just start pushing record because there's always magic that comes up. So I've been studying quantum healing and quantum realm for over 20 years and I was introduced to light language back in the like early 2000s. And it was, sounded really cool and it was like mysterious to me. And but it never really was something that I felt called to do or was, coming through me until you and I started connecting and I was learning more about your journey with light language. And then I think it was one of your master classes where I just like my my higher self and guides were like, open your mouth and let it come out. I was like, what? And I was a reluctant participant, I will admit. Um, because it just felt awkward and I didn't really understand it. And so over the last, I don't know, what year or so, I've just couple of times have just allowed myself to open my mouth, open my heart, my throat chakra, just let it flow out. And it was weird and felt awkward. And but I just kind of went with it. And I was sharing with you in this last magical journey I took. I was guided to, open up and let it flow. And I go through my minutes of reluctant, participation and then just opened up and let it flow. And it was like the most profound experience I've had with it. Which has only been like a few times. And so I was sharing that with you. And I was like, I still don't really understand what it is. I know it's like the language of our soul, but the mechanics are like, what's the purpose of it? And how is this benefiting me? And you shared some amazing stuff that like cracked open my understanding, but also my willingness and kind of like took down some of my guards. And now I'm a little bit more open to just participating with this experience. So I would love for you to share like what is light language and what is the benefit to having it flow through me?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I remember, I think it was actually probably during Rebirth that you were on, and there was that a session where we like played around with everyone opening their light language. And
Yes,
I
that
remember
was it.
that was it. Like that was the year ago experience. And it's true. It's weird, right? It is weird. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. Like, if you don't know what it is, it's like, this is weird. What do I use this for? There's not many teachings out there. And so I'm gonna need your help a little bit. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
into some things that I remember from our convo yesterday. But please then just like ping me on like what else I brought through that helped with your understanding. And then I'll also give a general overview of light language. But I actually feel like starting from the point of your story, which was you were really feeling that this light language, you were actually, as it was coming through, you were then being guided to different parts of your energy body and doing work there. And
Mm.
you, like you said, you've been in the quantum healing realm for over 20 years. So you're very familiar with working in the ethereal and the power of doing that. And so one of the things that had come through, and this is just really general for everybody, is well, maybe I am going to start with what light language is. I don't know. I'm just going to speak and we'll see what comes out. But just please, if
Yeah.
anything that I don't hit right now that I hit yesterday that was helpful for you, that would be helpful for other people to hear, please bring me back to that. But
Yeah.
like you said, right? Light language is the language of the soul. Our soul resides in the realm of light, hence light language. I think one of the big misconceptions is because we call it language, people think that it's something you can learn like you would learn Spanish or French or English, and that there's some type of translation that a specific sound tone in light language would mean like bless you or something, in English. And there's no translation. It's really just called language because it's a way of transmitting data, just like English language is a way of connecting around ideas and concepts and transmitting data. Light language is a transmission of data. And, what is data? Light, sound, frequency. And the major part of light language is that it bypasses the left brain so that we can't wrap and project our stories around the healing that's taking place of saying like, oh, this is this or whatever. And because it can be really easy to just get stuck and loop in stories, right? And so light
Yeah.
language comes through and it helps us bypass that and just goes, look, we're just going to go directly into the DNA, turn off what's not needed, turn on what's helpful, and amplify that. Like essentially is what we're talking about. Light language is speaking directly to your cells, directly to the energy bodies, the intuitive bodies that can actually take in that information and use it without our mental concept mucking things up and judging,
Right.
trying to like perceive and things. And so it was really interesting because I think there was something to the effect of like, why use this? Like, okay, it's coming through and I see that it's helping me heal certain aspects, but I also like what else was happening. And there's this aspect of like, light language helps us with remembrances. So
Yes.
there are art forms and technologies that, priestesses, wayshowers, light bearers, mystics, holy women, holy men, however you want to like label it, these star seeds, however you want to label um, these souls like us who have incarnated, who are here to build the new, right? Which
Yeah.
means that there's no reference points outside of us that reflect back to us what we're actually here to build, because we're here to build the new. We're not here to adapt to this existing world. We're here to birth and create the new world, which can be extremely challenging.
Yeah.
And
And one of the things I want to interject that I think I brought up was during my magical journey, one of my intentions was to bring through wisdom from my past lives that would be of benefit to the work I'm here to do in this lifetime. And that's where you kind of shared the concepts of like that information is not digestible on the left side of our brain. And so the light language is the language of our soul that's like acts. This is what I heard. I don't know if I'm saying this right,
keep
so you could
going.
correct me,
Yes.
but the way I understood it was like that ancient information isn't going to come through our left brain where we can digest it like we do if we're reading a book or something like that. And and so it comes through in this light language that's codes that our soul recognizes and does all the magic, like you said, like turning off the old programs that aren't serving us and illuminating the gifts and programs and like calling back that ancient wisdom in a way that our higher self can like bring it down into our humanness. And
Yes.
so that's kind of what I understood from what you shared the other day.
Perfect. That's exactly it. So it's like, as we're here to birth the new, there's not, we're here to remember ancient technologies and bring those to the forth, ancient, modern, future technologies. Time is just a construct. So it's
Right.
like we're meant to bring through these different ways of organizing, these different ways of allowing sound and wisdom and light to move through us, where there's not necessarily a certification out there to go and get and digest through the mental body. And in fact, if there were, the mental body is going to block it, because the mental body is always going to reference what we know, and it's going to look for data points in the known world. We're not here to adapt to the known world. We're here to build
No.
birth the new world. So as we're speaking and allowing this language of the soul to encode our being, what we're doing is we're allowing our soul to plant the seeds for then these new art forms, these new modalities, these new teachings, these new wisdom transmissions to be born from within us and stream through us out into the world. We're going to have greater access to our creative intelligence. We're going to have these remembrances. We're going to have inspired ideas of new ways to do things, because our soul has already done it. Our soul has done these things
Yeah.
before. And, the soul can be like, hey, Danny, or hey, Shannon, like, okay, let me just get this out for you. Like, I'm not going to tell you from the mental space, if my soul had told me 3 years ago that I'd be speaking in tongues and light language and having people like viscerally compare it to a medicine journey, like I would have been like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what that means. And
Right.
there was no one who could have taught me what I do in my one-on-one sessions. Of course, I've had teachers and guides and who have helped me along my spiritual path and wisdom teachings, but my specific way of bringing through the medicine that I do, it was just born from within. And that's what's happening to so many light workers. And that's why light language is such a potent tool, because it's going to help everyone birth that uniqueness that they're here to birth.
Yeah, and one of the things that occurred to me now as we're rediscussing this is I think so many of us, whether you're on a spiritual path or not, we're looking for like, what's my purpose here? And it's an elusive thing, and it feels like what once you explain to me the mechanism of light language, I was like, oh, now I understand the purpose of it, and I'm much more willing to like use it as a tool on my path. But I think what I kind of received from what you just shared is that it's like it's a way for our higher self and our soul, the bigger soul of where we came from to activate within us, like you said, that remembrance, but the gifts and tools that have been dormant, and and the things that we came here to share to help the earth and humanity. And so yeah, I feel like it's a pathway to our awakening. And also the question I have is like, as we allow the light language to flow through us, I'm imagining that it strengthens our ability to receive other guidance that we on the practical, like go to this event or go do this thing, right? That we're like, what? So is that accurate? Like, if we allow the light language to flow through us, it's kind of like turning on things that are going to help us hear the guidance of our higher selves and our guides even greater.
Yeah, because here's the thing with any tool, right? It's like it's multifaceted. One of the things that light language does is it cleans us out, it purifies it
Mhm.
and removes. So of course, it's like if we think about our central channel or our connection to our guidance as like a pipe that gets clogged, right? It's like our pipes
Yeah,
are always they're so clogged from like all
they're
the
so clogged.
so clogged from conditioning and limiting beliefs and wounding and false paradigms and the world we live in and all the toxins and pollutants, like the list goes on, right? And so
Yeah.
as we do different things like energy healings and light language clearings, and those pipes get cleaned, and when they're cleaned, we make the space to then call in that higher light. So um anytime we're calling in more higher light and we have a clearer connection, it's like our intuition is going to be more in tuned. But not only that, there's also, so that's like the clearing part, right? And then there's like the activation part where I almost see it like turning on as like a radar beacon of like bing, bing, bing. And then it's like you're getting a stronger connection to what's meant for you out in the world.
Mhm.
Does that make
That
sense?
totally makes sense. Yes. Yes. And I want to share with, whoever might be watching this that, your calling is to share this with the world. And not all of us need to do that. So, like, you know, I would invite people to just get courageous and let this flow through you if you're being prompted or guided to do that in the privacy of your own space, and just play with it, and don't feel like it's something that you have to share with other people.
I love that.
Because I don't share it with other people. Well, I guess now I am. I'm outed.
You're outed. Well, I think it's an important point just around spiritual integrity in general that you're bringing up is, in the old paradigm, it was like learn a new skill and apply it and share it, and like that was
Yeah.
the thing. And, in the newer paradigm, this new earth paradigm where things are becoming alive within us, there's it's important to have a softer, gentle, more organic process of letting it flow from us. So whether it's light language, whether it's something in like the mediumship realms, whether it's, whatever it is, I think it's important for everyone to have the discernment around like, when is this for me and when is it appropriate to share? And like, what is that? And just giving yourself permission to be so gentle and so sacred with like what's coming through you, that not everything is meant to be shared. And when it is meant to be shared, you will know because you're connected and you'll be getting
Yeah.
the nudges and the signs and the symbolism, the affirmations through conversations and friends and things out in the universe. So I love that you say that because I think sometimes people don't want to like traverse into something that could be really helpful for them because they think, oh, well, is it going to define me? Is that my public persona? And it's like, that's not what any of this is about.
No, no. In fact, spiritual journey is very personal, and it's like the most challenging and most fulfilling thing any human can do. And I think you and I talked about this, and it's a little bit off track, but still applicable, is that,
We're
as
drinking
we're,
tea. I don't have my tea. I wish I did, but
yeah,
so keep go wherever you
yeah,
want.
I'll share my tea with you. Um, I think as we're learning new things, we're eager to share, but on our spiritual path, there's a lot of wisdom that comes from applying things to our own life, walking the path for ourselves, and and gaining the wisdom and doing our work of clearing out our trauma and old belief systems and things like that, and noticing where our ego mind wants to come in and be like an expert with something when we haven't walked the miles applying the tools. Like, I've been doing this work for 20 years and I'm still learning every day. And so I think to have the spiritual journey be a very intimate, personal process for yourself, and learn what it is you're really meant to share, rather than like, oh, I've got this new tool and I'm going to go out and share it with everybody. Um, I don't think it has to be that direct.
Yeah. Yeah. I really relate to that. And I remember earlier on in my journey being like, I want to be like a spiritual coach. It's so yummy. And it was not time. And it wasn't, and
Mhm.
I was connected enough to realize it wasn't time. And the funny thing is, when it became time, I was like, I don't want this. Don't make me do this. Because, it's like the more you know, the more know you don't know. We
Yeah.
don't know. And so there's a real humility that comes with stepping through the gateway into public service, where it's like I'm like practicing that I'm humble enough to know that I don't know, but I have enough
Right.
wisdom that it's helpful in the right measure for some people. And that because I don't know, I am willing to fall on my face and make a fool of myself. Like that is what I face every day. I'm just like, okay, I'm in the unknown. This is what they're telling me. This is what I feel I'm being directed. Hope it resonates. not attached if it doesn't resonate because it's not me. I'm just opening as a vessel for God to flow through.
Yeah,
And like, I don't get to dictate what that looks like. And yeah, it's challenging.
it is. And I'm so happy you mentioned that with like the unknown, because really when you truly understand, you realize like we're always in the unknown. Like when we're tuning in to the guidance of our higher selves, when we come with curiosity, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know actually all the steps that are going to get me from point A to my goal. That's when the magic shows up, because when we're operating from what we know, then you've got like this much information, and you're going to go make decisions from your mind of what you think are the right steps. But when you really are tuned in to like your heart's wisdom that's connected to your higher self, that's like your eye in the sky that knows a whole bunch of stuff you don't know and can see the pathways that look like detours and things like that. It's like the curiosity, coming to your spiritual journey with curiosity and admitting like, I don't know what the F I'm doing, and let me tap into my higher wisdom for the guidance and the direction. Like, that's truly when the magic shows up. And then, with this light language, it was finally after 20 years, it was time for me to open my mouth and let it flow out, right? Like,
And and one of the things I said, I mentioned to you yesterday that I just want to share with everybody is, set a timer like 5 to 10 minutes and just open and allow light language to flow from you with no judgment, with no story. And what starts to happen, or may what this is what happened to me, it may work differently, for other people, but then I was started being shown, okay, we're working on this chakra. Oh, okay, we're releasing this
mm,
wound from the lineage line. Oh, now they're drawing me to this. Oh, we're removing veils from our eyes. And it's almost like I was getting an English translation of the broad brush strokes of
yes.
what was happening, allowing this language to just imbue and work on my body and my field. And the thing is, yeah, when you start, it might feel a little wonky because you're like, it's kind of like the Tin Man getting oil again. Like, it's like, okay, let's go. But you're going to hit a point where all of a sudden something clicks and it's like, oh, that felt real. Like that was my soul.
Yeah. That happened in my magical journey, because I had done some of the things like in the rebirth, and since then, little spurts of it. But when I really allowed myself to open up, my hand was on my womb, which there was a lot of healing to do there. And some of the healing was mine, some of it was for the earth, some of it was for humanity. And it was like, as the light language flowing through me, there was also this aspect of my awareness of like, I'm asking questions to my higher self, like, what's up with that? And I'd get a couple, little bits of information. And so it was almost like this two aspects of myself, the piece that was just letting the channel of light language flow through, and then there was the little human going like, what's happening here? And so I like your idea of setting the timer. And also, if someone wants to just allow it to flow until it's done. And that was really my experience in this last time, was it just felt complete. I was like, okay, I guess I'm done. And and it was what it was, and it was really cool. So just whatever people are guided to, I'd say just try something and let yourself have the experience.
Amen. Experience. We're just here. We're just souls here having a human experience. Just having a human experience.
And now, I mean, with all of the energetic shifts that have been taking place recently, we're actually humans that are here to awaken our spiritual selves and embody, like bring in our higher self. Like,
Yeah,
so
walking
I
masters
don't
on
know if
earth.
that saying still applies, like, oh, I'm a spirit having a or human, I don't know what the saying is, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or they say like soul having a human experience. It's all merging and becoming one now.
yeah. And so now, we are also a human that's being invited to and supported with like bringing in our higher wisdom so we can live from that rather than from our, mind that's a processor of information. And so now let's just connect to our higher wisdom's information and guidance and see what happens. Because from my experience, that's where the magic happens. You want to manifest the life that you really want, like tune into the guidance of your higher self and take the actions. Like that's how the magic shows up.
Well, there's
And
two things that I like really want to hone in on that you said. It's first of all, we're at this huge, we really do. We have this huge opportunity to become like embody our Christ light in human form. Like
Mhm.
truly be like walking masters on earth should we apply ourselves, right? And that's one of the things that was one of the earliest things that I was shown about light language is I was like, why is this coming online now? And why is I'm starting to see it everywhere, like it's becoming more mainstream. And I was like, is this just because it's awakening in me? And so I'm connecting to those things, or is there
Mhm.
like a collective rise? And I was shown that there's a collective rise. And one of the reasons is it's one of the quickest and most seamless ways to help us ascend because it's
Mm.
bypassing that left brain and it's our soul and it's giving our free will permission to our higher self to rearrange our energy field, awaken what needs to be awakened, discard what needs to be discarded. Now, of course,
Mm.
as with any modality, if you're going to receive it from someone, you want to receive it from someone who's embodied in their heart, who's done their clearing, who's developed their skills, because
Yeah.
you can have people who channel or light language or whatever, but they're disembodied. And if you're disembodied, it becomes more of a party trick or
Yeah.
less effective and even can invite in some mucky yucky, I was going to say.
For
So you
sure.
want to make sure that you're receiving from a clean vessel who's truly dedicated their existence to this devotion of this work.
Yeah.
So
And
do you have anything
patience.
else to add or any other questions?
I think we kind of touched on all the great wisdom that came through our conversation yesterday, and I just appreciate the invitation to revisit this so we could share it with people. And I think the more we can talk about these things, there are a lot of people experiencing stuff they don't understand, and it is weird. I mean, we just have to name like it's weird, and a lot of people don't understand it, and so it's not like you can go to your book club and be like, oh yeah, I just started speaking light language, and everyone's looking, so find the tribes of people who are having these weird conversations so it could be normalized and you can really step in with more confidence um and follow people like Danny. You've got some wonderful opportunities to just bring people together and be weird together and see what happens, and let the magic unfold.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that you were down to just make that like revisit this conversation in a public format because it's just like you said, it's like when we can help each other put verbiage to the unknown, it's really helpful to ground it. And
Yeah.
there's one thing I was just looking, you might have seen me like typing. I was looking up the etymology of weird. I love sharing this. So the etymology of weird is actually means having the power to control destiny. Weird,
Ooh.
the etymology of weird is having the power to control destiny. So I just think it's so fitting. It's like, yeah, we get together to be weird together, to remember that we are like our divine Christed light. And we don't have to feel like we're alone in that. We don't have to feel like we don't know what we're doing. We can learn to trust and know from here without
Yeah.
having to know here.